I'd like to start with a recent article from the Wall Street Journal titled "The Latest Dirty Word in Corporate America, ESG." More and more business leaders are basically avoiding this acronym, at times rebranding their efforts. And for the first time, ESG funds saw outflows amid a major exodus by U.S. investors from environmental, governance, and social strategies. So my question is the era of ESG is over?
So perhaps use of the acronym may be over, maybe, but I think really the underlying fundamentals of what ESG is, which is really a focus on sustainability and a focus on opportunities and managing those risks for investors. And in reality, it's really about information for investors about what a fund is doing. That's been around forever. It's going to be staying.
What is the difference that you are seeing currently between the situation in the US and that of Europe?
A huge divide. So in Europe, they're much further ahead in terms of formalizing either through regulations or requirements, either on disclosures or on due diligence. But to say that's only happening in Europe is to really miss the point, because most of companies are operating globally, and they're either directly or indirectly impacted by what's happening in Europe. We're seeing some of those trends here in the US, but Europe is definitely ahead, and they are not moving away from those goals.
Is there any hope that the US can look at Europe to learn something?
You know, I think that might be a bit optimistic. We've seen some struggle here with regulations, both federally and on the state level. But in reality, as I said, it comes down to what's important to investors. And these types of issues are important to investors. They've shown that. And they want to know what their funds are doing. And so again, I think it's here to stay, whether or not because of the European requirements or because it's just good business.
From a client perspective, what are they doing wrong?
That can be a long list. And I think some of the key things that we're seeing that clients, where they're making missteps in this space, one, are getting out ahead of those commitments, making statements, making promises without understanding how they're going to fulfill those, whether or not it's through meeting certain targets or taking on certain objectives. I think the other big thing we're seeing is companies aren't necessarily ready for the backlash, because there will be backlash. We know that. We have seen that. The Wall Street Journal's talked about it, and we're definitely going to continue to see that. So I think companies need to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're going to do it, and how they're going to justify that to the consumer, to their customers, and to investors.
So what is the role of the legal industry in this?
So I think we're playing a really important role, given the changing in regulation and how quickly that's happening both here in the US and abroad. The fact that those regulations aren't always compatible, they can be conflicting. I think our role really for our clients is to help them, one, understand what the rules are, how to comply, but two, really to find those opportunities within those regulations to differentiate themselves, to become leaders, and to help mitigate the risk.
And you as a lawyer, what are you guys doing?
So it's a lot. It's a lot of explaining what the rules are or what we think the rules will be, understanding how those rules are different in different states, which again provides an extra complicating factor, and helping clients bring together in ways they probably haven't had to before different parts of their organization. Your comms team need to be talking to your legal team, to your compliance team, to your risk team. They need to all be playing together to make sure that your messaging is cohesive, your risk strategy is cohesive, and that you don't make a misstep when trying to do something good for your investors.
I'm referring also to the role that a law firm like yours can play in advancing ESG principles.
So I think many firms are seeing this as an opportunity as well. Our clients care about these issues, our associates and attorneys care about these issues, and it's important to be a leader in these types of spaces. So whether or not it's making commitments around climate, or whether or not it's making commitments around diversity and inclusion. I think law firms, like any other business, have to understand what their goal is, what their principles are, and make sure that the work they're doing in this space goes towards those values.
We are entering in full swing a new presidential election cycle, and actually even before that, the ESG principles have been politicized. So how can we navigate this situation?
In some ways, you have to quiet the noise around the political piece. I think you have to understand what's going on. But I think, as I said, going back to what the values and cultures of your organization are what you're committing to. Does it make sense for your company? Does it make sense for who you are and what you want to be? And understanding that politics are going to come and go, the election will come and go, and that your company wants to be able to weather that and keep your loyal customers and keep your loyal employees. So really staying true to what those values are, but understanding that it's going to be a little bumpy for the next couple of months.
Do you expect the ESG to disappear and be replaced by something else? And if so, do you have an idea of what we might see?
I mean, I think the words could or could not get replaced. I think focusing on the words is probably a bit of a red herring. I think the idea of sustainability is not going away. Clients are looking for new and different energy sources. We know that sustainability is important. That's not going to change. That's not going to go away. If we use different words, sure. We've used different words in the past. We used to say materiality. Now we say ESG. Could it be something next year? Sure. But I think the words aren't going to make a difference.
We can conclude that ESG principles are here to stay. We will wait to see how they are actually managed. Thank you, Michelle, for your insights.
Thank you.